We welcome in head coach Pete Carroll. So, Coach, the Giants came in and they played a spirited game, very physical game overall. Assess your performance.
Yeah, we found a way to get in trouble in all three phases. You know, we had trouble on offense by turning the ball over. We had trouble on defense. We couldn't get them knocked out, and when we had some chances to, third downs again became an issue. And then the kicking game, the big play in the kicking game, when there was a chance to return and seize some kind of momentum, it was moments later that they returned the kickoff for a touchdown. So it was just unfortunate, and you could tell that we missed some guys that went out there but fortunately, to his credit, Mike Mayer had a great game. And played really well, and kind of filled in for Brock. We didn't get much of the rush that we would like to have gotten for Maxx not being available, and we missed Jeremy Chin too. Those guys are good players.
Before we get to Mike's game, I want to stay with special teams because I know how the passion you have for tackling and fundamentals there. You made a coaching change mid-season, and then you gave up another backbreaker there. Going into this game, is there anything left to do to get that unit to come together and have a big performance?
Yeah, we have to play consistently. If you saw the game Tommy Eichenberg had, making hits down there inside the 20 or around the 20-yard line, and some phenomenal hits. Well, Tommy had a chance on that last one too. And somebody else needed to help him and come to his aid somewhat. But so it's just finding the consistency. We've had games where we've been like we're supposed to be, where there's no issues. The kicking game should be no issues. And to give up a play like that at a timely moment in a game was really costly for us.
Let's get to Big Mike. I am excited for his future because I always thought he was more than just a blocking tight end and a special teams guy. He could put up big numbers in 12 personnel. What is encouraging to the fans going forward with him with that athletic ability that he has?
Well, Mike hasn't really shown us anything different. He just had more opportunity.
Yeah.
And Mike he's had a phenomenal year for us.
Okay.
He's been solid as a rock in all phases. He is a good special teams player, as a complimentary guy there, but he can catch and run and he can block, and he's gifted with multiple aspects to his game, which we like. And he showed you how tough he is too. He ran really tough in that game and took care of the football in a good fashion.
1,200 plus scrimmage yards for Ashton. I want to spend a few minutes on him. I'm just amazed. When he gets hit behind the line of scrimmage, it happens. That happened a lot this year. He can only do so much. When he hits the hole and has an opportunity to make a play, especially in the passing game, overall, if we can put a bow on his season going into this last game, what encourages you about his career going forward?
Well, there's no question, and I think you're right on it. And there's a play in this game when you see him do something. He steps out of a tackle and kind of hops through it. You don't see guys do very often. He's got a real creativity to him that allows him to really be a big threat in the open field. And so I think he's had a terrific season. We'd love to get him 120 or whatever he needs to get him 1,000. It'd be fun to get that done. But he's contributed in many ways. Look at him catching the ball down the field. The last couple of weeks, again, he makes plays. So he's a big threat. We love him, and he's still just getting warmed up, just getting started.
Gino has an ankle going forward. Assess him and the season, the struggles he's had, but the depth going into this game at quarterback and what you're looking forward to.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for Gino to play. He had a pretty good ankle sprain. We thought it was the high ankle. That was the first determination, but it wasn't clear until they did the MRIs and all that. But it's going to be difficult for him. We'll see what happens during this week. But right now we have to look to Kenny and we got to look to Aiden and let those guys. I want both those guys to play in this game, and so we'll see how we map that out. But as we get through the week. But it'll be fun to see them play. Those guys have worked really hard, and they're good competitive ball players, and there's the competition's on, and so there's nothing I like more than competition.
You've coached some great defensive players throughout your career, and a lot of them on winning teams. Have you ever had anything more unique than this Maxx situation? He's back in the building here. How you handled that, how he handled it, and what you do with him going forward.
Yeah, Maxx is he's one of a kind. He's a great player, and he's a great competitor in all aspects of what he brings to this game. And he loves playing so much that it was just too hard for him to find a way to rationalize, I can't play. He's been making it back each week. When they finally got some tests done, it was clear that it was bad. Yeah. And so, but he could still do it, and he knew that, and he just wanted to keep playing. And that's I totally can relate to him. I would want to do exactly the same thing, and I'd have fought it this in similar fashion. I would like to think, because it's just the makeup that we have to compete, and so he just needed some time to just clear his head, and he's back in here yesterday and with the fellas and feeling comfortable about it and mixing, and he'll be inspiring guys, motivating guys throughout. He's always done it with his play and his outlook, and so now he'll do it with just trying to influence those guys into playing the kind of football they're capable of playing.
The last game for this defensive line, I think it's intriguing who's going to step up when Max's not there and get an opportunity. You always talk about another opportunity, an opportunity to compete. It would be great to see someone pop on tape and have a big game against a division rival.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And Malcolm, he was active in this game last week and was maybe tried to make some plays, trying to fill in the shoes for Maxx. Tyree Wilson had a good chance to show that. We'd love to see more activity out of him, so he gets a good opportunity. He's just a guy that a couple years back, we thought the organization thought that he was going to be a big factor for us. So he's got a chance to show that, and could stand out more so with Maxx not being on the field. So we'll give him a great up there. Harvey got a chance to play a little bit for the first time and show what he can do, and he's battling his tail off. He hadn't played all year long, but he's going to try to see if he can add something to it. Tonka got on the end a little bit last week and made a couple plays, so that's a positive look forward to, and see if he can do it again.
One more player I wanted to highlight, Coach, is Eric Stokes, because Caillou's injury and Porter, you're playing young guys. They're going to kind of get thrown into the fire and make some plays or make some mistakes, but you've pointed his name out the last couple of weeks, and tell us a little bit more about him.
Yeah, Eric has had a really, really solid year. He's a fantastic athlete. He's got great speed. He runs under 4.3 somewhere in his college days, and it shows up in his change of direction and his quickness. He's really taken to the way we coach him. We've made him a press corner and really emphasized that for him, and he plays his techniques off of being a press guy. He's won a lot. He's probably one of the top, handful of guys in the league, numbers-wise and all of that. He stood up to the challenges, so he's done a really good job. And I know he's really excited about this opportunity to emerge, and get back. Because he had a rough go first couple of years, being banged up and in and out of the lineups, and we thought we saw something in him, and it's really come to the front. So I'm excited for him. I know he's excited about his game.
Chris Oladokin, what can you tell us about him? Third-string quarterbacks can be a wild card at the end of the year, right?
Yeah.
You put someone in there, they want to make a play. What can you tell us when you look at the tape?
Yeah, well, he's an active football player. He runs around a lot. He's a good athlete. Not the fastest guy, but he's fast, and he has a knack for taking off. They're trying to make the game such that he can handle the passing game, counting on him to take off and run. And so he's a guy that he'll drop back looking to throw it, but if he doesn't see what he wants, he's taking off. So we have to take care of him and see if we can get after the football when he's carrying it. They haven't scored a lot of points the last few weeks. They've been struggling a little bit. They've had a big series of injuries. They've had, I think, they're 4 tackles down, if you can imagine. It's similar. We had one starter playing last week. For us too. So we know how hard that is. So the running backs are still really productive, and they're tough, and we need to deal with them. But if they could keep it in line, they would want Ola to not have to do a lot of throwing the ball down the field and see if he can run the football and control it with the passing game underneath and his scrambles.
I never predict players retiring until they announce they're retiring, but there's a lot of talk about Travis Kelce, and my theory is he's not going to go out in a losing season. He's not going to go out without Mahomes, who's injured here. But Travis Kelce has been a big name.
How do you know that?
I don't. I just have radio opinions. But
there you go.
with Kelce, he's been a very interesting player for you to coach against. And just wanted your comments on his career so far coming into his last game of the season.
He's had a spectacular career because he's done it for so long.
Yeah.
Some guys can have 2 or 3 years where they're on it and they hit it. But he's been a major force on a very successful team. I think this is his 12th year, is that what it is? And he's still doing it. And they still go to him, and he still makes plays. And he's their leading target guy, and he's come through time after time. And he and Mahomes had a great chemistry in the makeup that it isn't as obvious right now, of course, but he's still going to make his plays, and they have an offense designed where he has a lot of latitude to get open and to make space in his option running and things like that, and he's great at it, So, and he comes through and makes the big catches, and he's the big play guy, when they need him. So he's had an incredible career, and so noteworthy down the stretch here with Taylor and the whole thing. It's been an amazing kind of storyline. So, I don't know how many years he wants to keep playing. I don't know anything about that, but I know he's going to battle this weekend, so we got to take care of it.
I know finally that you and Andy Reid have been two of the most successful coaches over the last 20 years and had some great battles overall. You know Andy Reid's coming in here to win this game. And as everyone talks about picks and draft order and all that, I know you and Andy take the high road all the time and want to compete your butt off to win games and show each other the respect you have for each other.
Yeah, well, you go all the way back. You look at Andy in preseason. He plays his guys. He's trying to get them ready to play the football season. Where a lot of people say, oh, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. That's guys that sit at your desk, But when you're coaching, it's a mentality that you're trying to, be pervasive throughout your program. Andy's had that with his long-term success. They know what he's all about and where he's coming from, and he's serious as you can get about trying to win football games. Well, we're going to go nose to nose. This will be a good battle. We're kind of playing with, we're limping our way into this game, both teams, and we'll see what happens. But on game time, it's going to be the biggest game in the world for us, and we're going to do everything we can to get him. And I love Andy, and I love his family and his background and all the things that he's stood for, and his success speaks for itself. But it's fun to go against them.
Coach, not many coaches do this every week. You were kind enough with your time every game this year. I want to thank you for that, especially our audience here. Your final thoughts on the season going into this last game, to the fans, a message. It wasn't the season you expected when it started, but you've been a class act coming in here every week. What would you like to share with the fans?
Yeah, it's been most disappointing. I mean, I never imagined that we would have this much trouble winning our games, and so we've been on the other side of battling to keep our focus and to stay with it and to keep the principles that we have designed to guide the program. Our players have done a really good job in prepping every week. They're into it. They come to the meetings with energy. They practice hard and work at it. They compete to make each other better every day. The whole goal for the players has been to be a great teammate, and that means you got to bring it every day and you got to be accountable. And the guys have really done that. The successes haven't been there. It started right in preseason. We couldn't get our wins then, and we've been struggling the whole time to get them. I'm proud of these guys, the way they battled. I love coaching these guys. It's been fun. The personalities and the characters that are on this team, they're going to be the same guys that are going to be there when we're winning a bunch of games.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck.